remember this. I had to console Mr. Wilson after he got raped. Sure enough, he was pretending that he was bragging, but, you know, that was his way of dealing with it. But you could see in his eyes, he was a hurt man. Good times. Bill, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going through some of my old adventures with Mr. Wilson, and some of his old new stuff as well. You know you're missing a few issues? Mostly Cable and Deadpool. I know! Sorry. It's just that, you know, now that I'm living here, you know, because you asked me to, it's just that I go for some of my old adventures with Mr. Wilson. You know, he still hasn't returned my calls. Yeah, Bill, about that. The only reason why I asked you to stay is because, well, I need money, and since technically you won't move out anyway, I thought to myself I might as well start charging you rent here if you're going to stay. And speaking of rent, which is going to be due in a couple of weeks, I got to know where you're going to come with this money, since technically you don't leave the house. I mean, all you do is sit around, eat my food, watch my television, and run up my power bill. And since you don't seem to have a job, I'm trying to see if this was maybe a good investment on my part. Well, you know, Bob put a hit out on me. I have to still stay secluded and hide. And don't worry about money. I cashed in my pension with AIM. I'm set for life. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it, wait for Mr. Wilson to contact me, and then we can go out and have adventures again. While doing so, I'm going to go through all the old books and stuff, and, you know, as soon as I'm done with Merc with the Mouth, I'm going to check out Prelude to Deadpool Core, and then Deadpool Core, and then I'm going to go on to reading Deadpool Max. Max? You said Deadpool Max. What's wrong with Max? You kept saying Max was a good series. Yeah, I wouldn't read Deadpool Max. I kind of had a change of heart with that. I stay away from Deadpool Max if I were you, Bill. You're not gonna like it. It's not a very good issue, and you may not enjoy it as much. So yeah, I probably just promise me you'll stay away from Deadpool Max, okay? Please, for my sake and for yours, please stay away from Deadpool Max. You know, it's kind of a funny thing with Max. Before Marvel put me into hiding, I was actually offered a chance to work with Mr. Wilson again on a comic book called Deadpool Max. But since then, Bob put the hit out on me, and I had to go into hiding. So I don't know whatever happened to it. It seems like Mr. Wilson went ahead and did the comic without me, but hopefully it'd still be a good read. Listen, just promise me, do not read Deadpool Max. Can you do that for me, please? Okay? Now I gotta go do the show, alright? Can you just please promise me you're not gonna read Deadpool Max? Okay? Alright, fine. I won't read Deadpool Max.
I wanna live in a world full of heroes, not cooking up these heroes at my parents' restaurant now. I wanna yell out Avengers Assemble, not order up for Ethel. Yeah, we're right up cheeky now.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Kavalden's Comic Review. Today I have only 4 comics. We're going to be finishing up with Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe with Marvel issue number 4, the final issue. I was moving on to a new Spider-Man, issue 692, and I'll take a look at the issue number 1 for both Dr. Manhattan and Rorschach in the new comics before Watchmen. I'm going to go straight with Deadpool. Since the cover kind of displays a fight with the Punisher, I was a little disappointed, but a little... How do I put it? I was hoping for a longer fight between him and the Punisher, but I have to give props to Deadpool once again being creative and thinking outside the box on how to deal with the Punisher. So, basically, this is the climatic end of this series as Deadpool finally reaches the goal of the reason why he's killing everyone in the Marvel Universe. I don't know. I guess kind of could say some of the kill. Like I said, most of the books itself most of the issues were pretty good. I have to say that most of the kills were creative and inventive. Sort of the way of thinking outside the box and going to the top, doing the fourth wall stuff a lot. You know, that we kind of expect with Deadpool. Though, the kind of climax end that he goes off, well, if you haven't read it, I won't spoil it. I mean, basically the ending is kind of climactic. It's basically kind of picturesque. I think I kind of saw it coming a mile long way. Yeah. So I would say this is a good series. You know, something to hold you over while you're waiting with the whole next issue of the mainstream comic of Deadpool. Issue 692 of the Amazing Spider-Man. This one's a little different. This is a thicker book. It's going to cost you about, say, maybe, hold on. Oh, $6 I paid for that. Yeah, from the region about maybe $5 or $6. It has the main issue of the story as well as some small issues. Mostly enough, the main issue is mostly evolving around how a kid, similar to Peter when he was starting out as Spider-Man, and how everything happened to him, that on a field trip, science experiment go wrong, now he's got superpowers. Basically, the kid feels that, he can, he's being pushed around, bullied a lot, so he feels that this. Peter sees a lot of himself in the kid, so he takes him under his wing, so we kind of see Spider-Man get a sidekick in this. The thing is that he might be a new addition to the Marvel Universe, and it already looks like they're going to be giving him his own comic after a while, and we'll see how that goes. The other issues, one of them being kind of what would happen, I guess kind of is an in-between story with sort of the main story of Spider-Man where Peter threw away his costume, and I can't remember what issue that might have been. But basically enough, what would happen if a crook found the Spider-Man costume and then wore it? He's then soon, basically it's a nice little story where he tries to make more profit for himself by being Spider-Man, but it turns out it doesn't work out the way he had hoped, and actually ends up being more of a hero that he needs to be, even though he's not. The final issue of the story is mostly enough Peter going through a typical day or a typical bad day for him, until he finds, he can finally do some good by trying, without having to resort to violence or fighting crime, and try to inspire a young child as well. It's a nice story, but this book is a nice addition, sort of like mini stories as well. It's a little pricey, but, what are you going to do? The last two issues, before Watchmen, issue 1 of Rorschach and Dr. Manhattan. I'm going to go with Dr. Manhattan first, only because looking at this and reading it, it's sort of like we've already heard this story before. Basically, if you remember when the story started moving over to Dr. Manhattan's character and how he starts contemplating everything that goes on in his life, could be pretty much the same. Mostly he's contemplating how he became the way he is, and how the events that unfolded as well, we're seeing a little bit more of his childhood. Like I said, this is sort of already something we've already seen before, so it's not really a big issue. Sure, I still think that maybe the events of what happened to Dr. Manhattan before he became Dr. Manhattan might have been an accident. I don't know. Maybe that's what they're going with the story, that they're trying to prove that someone was trying to get rid of him and then it ended up being something positive instead of being more negative. But you have to look at it in that sort of way. Rorschach, number 1. Mostly enough, I was waiting for this one a lot, and there's a hit and miss with this one with me. Basically, I guess what I'm saying is, this is sort of like, we know how Rorschach became Rorschach. If you've read The Watchmen, you know how everything turns out. So, yeah, I guess what I'm saying is this issue sort of deals with how Rorschach becomes the Rorschach that we know, him starting out as a hero and everything, and then teaming up with Owlman and stuff. I guess that's what I'm looking at, because that's the only thing I can really say is that these two issues were pretty much already something that we already knew. And that's why I think most of the Before Watchmen series is a hit and a miss. Because it's something we already know. It's something we already dealt with already. And I think I may or may not collect the rest, or just stick with the ones that I do like and go from there. I don't know. I mean, well, I can't say much on more on that. So that's it for tonight. I thank you for watching, and we'll be back next week again. So hopefully we'll see how that goes. So let's see here. September almost up. Then we've only got a couple of weeks left. Only a few more issues with the mainstream Deadpool. So I guess that's it. We'll see what the rest of the week goes. I think we're going to get the conclusion of X-Men versus Avengers. Finally be done with that one. So, that's it. I'll see you guys next week, and have a good weekend, all right? Bye.